Hey guys, it's Matt. We come into the bathroom again because this is where the major league light is. The last time I spoke about the Tibetan Book of the Dead in a video, Rob, as a nice present, he sent me this hardback. It arrived just a few days later. I think Rob is hoping that I'd make fun of it again, and I'd like to do that. And although that sounds rather harsh, it really doesn't deserve anything less. What it gets people to expect through the moment of death, I think is really, really terrible. I don't know how there could be any basis for this, and quite frankly, it should be ashamed. It should be ashamed of itself. Now we come in this room as usual with the ode to all my cats, of course, but the owners that were here, the old couple I bought this house from. I showed you this last time. They put in these. Is that one out? No. They put in these 4 gigantic fluorescent lights. Oh, Thaddeus is just, he won't be able to sleep at night. All that horrible blue light. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here as soon as possible, guys. I don't put that light on unless I absolutely have to. But sometimes like this, it comes in handy. That incredible blue light skewed to throw off all your frequencies. And you guys have seen my ode to Belle and Cooper and Gouda and all the cats. This is my family here. So, yeah, from now on I'm going to look at, what the heck is this? This is, oh no, serious publishing. Oh, come on. Come on. No, with a star. Oh boy. Let's look at this together, guys. What do you think about this horse shit, Zara? Yeah, bite it. Bite it. Guys, a quick note before we begin. Christmas is just a few days away, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead is always an excellent gift-giving idea for Christmas. If you order today, it probably will arrive on time, but be very careful. Those that intend to give this to, say, a grandparent, they can take this the wrong way. What you saying, boy? And they'll write you out of the will. No $5 for you. Just about a minute and a half or less for anybody that does not know what this is or wasn't with us the last time we made fun of it. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is a roadmap, if you will, on how to go through the moment of death in order to avoid samsara, which is the endless cycle of birth, rebirth, and reincarnation. See, a bunch of bullshit will be thrown at people into a situation of 40 days called, here's that 40 days and 40 nights again, a 3-hour tour. It's called the Bardos. And you need to do certain shit during the bardo. You need to avoid certain lights. You need to avoid certain demons. 40 damn days. And you're not allowed to even carry a little map with you. Now, if you do it all right, and you turn left when that light, when the yellow light flashes, you go left. It's very similar to the old arcade game Dragon's Lair. You had to know what to do at each stage of that cartoon video game that we had in the late 80s. Then you can avoid samsara, the endless cycle of birth and death. If not, your broke spiritual ass is coming right back here. And I was thinking, because all the Buddhists expect to come back, maybe they just manifested that on themselves through their belief. But you'd have to be one of those people to believe that. As usual, guys, you don't need to see any pictures that I put up if you're driving or something. I snapped a few in my piece of shit 10 megapixel Canon, which I still think is better than the flip phone. But I don't know how to get the pictures off the flip phone. Anyway, so reality leaves little clues. It's so strange, isn't it, this world? So I understand this has to be in the public domain, right? It's not copyrighted. That's what we're going to talk about. It's strange that there's a copyright. It would have to be in the public domain. But of all the publishing houses that put this into a binder and tried to sell it over the years, the way one could sell the Bible, you would think that's not copyrighted by McGraw-Hill either. Of all the ones, and all the ones that Rob just get random, just sent Matt, Sirius. No, I assure you Rob didn't search out the Sirius publishing company. I mean, what are the chances? Sirius, the astrology, the main star, not planet, but main star, according to Levitt and those in the know, that is the astrological god of the creeps. Just happens to be Sirius Publishing. I mean, this stuff happens to us all the time. It just happens, but he tries to do this. So the other thing that got my attention, of course, was the fact that it is copyrighted. Well, what? And isn't there, whenever you list a copyright or the little C with the circle, don't you put a date? There's no date here. It's just weird. Well, it's got to be in the public domain. It says here, if you're driving, all rights reserved. No, it's not. What are you talking about? No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying required. Shut up. They could say the preface and the author's notes and opinions is copyrighted. You can't copyright the actual Tibetan Book of the Dead, or maybe you can. What's that saying? Uh-oh. Maybe I should leave that alone. An ISBN number. For what? Okay. It's right off the bat, with the serious combined with this, it starts even stranger than I expected.
Hey boy, you ever read the Tibetan Book of the Dead? Hey boy.
First published in 1927, the Tibetan Book of the Dead has sold, what? Over 500,000 copies, and its translation into many other European languages has led to it becoming the most widely read Tibetan text in the West. Well, there's a lot of problems with that very first sentence of the introduction. Okay, first published in 1927? No, it was first transcribed in the 8th century and widely put out in, you could call something that resembles publishing, in the 14th century. What are you talking about? Maybe, Bot, you'd say first published for the West in 1927. So you're getting it wrong right from your very first words, Bot introduction. Has sold. What does it matter how much it sold? It shouldn't be able to sell even one copy. Has sold. They talk about the Bible, too, in that regard, which has always been disturbing. Sold this and sold that. Well, it's not one copy is even supposed. Now, the person that has costs when they publish it, right, and they deserve to make a little bit of money to put some meat and potatoes on their plate for their family. But there shouldn't be a real profit made off this stuff, should there? That's always been disturbing to me. Who's the Bible salesman listening to me? And how do you sleep at night? The manuscript for this great work was discovered in 1919. Oh no, by W.Y. Evans Wentz. The 1919, that's the 9 paired with the 11. W.Y. Evans Wentz. There's the 3 names again with the initials before the name. You know I'm skeptical of those sons of bitches. And they're calling it right off the bat a great work. Oh no. It was discovered immediately after the First World War, at a time when there was a resurgence of interest in spiritualism, and discovered at a time when there was a resurgence of interest in the fate of the recently deceased. 8 years later, W.Y. Evans Wentz published it. We could do a whole video, literally 30 more minutes, just on this first potentially bot-driven paragraph. It's so strange. It was discovered immediately after the First World War. Who would use words like that unless it means potentially something else? And we're going to be one of those people and read into the potential meaning or symbolic meaning. Who would use words like that? So the moment the armistice was signed in the Hall of Mirrors in Versailles, that's just immediately, within seconds, it was discovered? Or is it saying that this whole story was tied in some way to the First World War, with the armistice signed in the Hall of Mirrors? You wouldn't use this language. It was shortly after the end of World War I, this was discovered and brought to the West. Immediately? I mean, there's something that's weird, folks. YW or W.Y. Evans Wentz, this is very weird, okay? I'm from Holland, isn't that weird? And also, it was discovered or brought to the West, which what they should be saying, at a time when there was a resurgence of interest in spiritualism and a resurgence of interest in the fate of the recently deceased. Whoa. You're from Davenport. Let me get this straight. So for a long time, people just didn't care what happened to people after they die. The number one concern of man just went away. Oh, it was a resurgence of what happens to you after death, a resurgence of spiritualism and the fate of the recently deceased. So right before this, before the resurgence, say 15 years before World War I, you say, Joe, I'm your best friend, right? You give me honest answer, Matt. This is Matt. What happens to us when we die? Joe's like, why are you asking that? We don't worry about that no more. But that's the number one concern of man through all of time. We don't worry about what happens to somebody through the moment of death or where you go. We have to wait for the resurgence to talk about that. This whole paragraph is very weird. And why did he wait 8 years later to publish it? Walter Yealing Wentz was born in Trenton, New Jersey. Oh, that's very unfortunate. In 1878. Yealing? What? I've seen some strange names in my day, guys. Did his mother not like him or something? Yeeling. Walter Yealing Wentz from Trenton. Trenton makes the world takes. That sign's all rusted out. He developed an early interest in spiritualism from reading books in his father's library. And while still a teenager, read, oh no, Isis Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine by Madame Blavatsky. You guys, you can't make this up. You just can't make this up. Bill, put W.Y. Evans Wentz in the light, waiting for me. And you pick the choice of weapon he should be holding, waiting for me in the light. Put him right next to Blavatsky. And he was interested in Isis Unveiled. We have to make fun of that. We really only looked at it briefly. Founder of the Theosophical Society. After moving to California, Wentz joined the Theosophical Society in, 1901. Okay, guys, we are in the Bardos, right? You right now, you and me, we're going to be one. Eva will tell you we're in the Bardos right now, most likely. We've joked about this before, but it's probably true. And if it is, there's nothing to be scared about. There's nothing to be scared about whatsoever. We are timeless beings, and we will find our way out. This, with all these numbers and symbols, and the 9 constantly paired with the 11, is there a 33 coming up? Probably. We are in the Bardos now. That tree took me out. Probably. So what? That's no big deal. I always thought this whole reality was layered. You go on. It's fine. It's not bad news at all if we actually are in the Bardos. After graduating from Stanford, he studied Celtic myth and folklore at Jesus College, Oxford. That's new to me. Anybody ever hear of Jesus College? Wonder what the mascot is. He also adopted the name Evans Wentz, adding a name from his mother's side of the family to his surname. Whoa, 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 whoa. He went out and added a name from his mother's side? So it would be like me saying, I'm no longer McKinley, I'm McKinley Laviolette. That's ridiculous. Why the heck would anybody do that? He then embarked on a world tour, visiting Mexico. Why would you go there first? Europe and the Far East, prior to spending most of the First World War in Egypt, from where he traveled to India, arriving in unpronounceable in 1919. He hung out in Egypt during the First World War. Give that man a white feather. Was he trying to avoid the war? Remember those women who run off and they'd stuff that white feather into your coat, saying, you wimpish son of a beach, get over there and get in your trench. That same year, he acquired a copy of the Bardo Theodule, that's the Tibetan Book of the Dead to me and you, which was published with his annotations and commentary in 1927, 78991. There it is again, as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So he retitled it. You know, you're going to mess with thousands of years of tradition and put your own little title on it, YW. I'm just calling him, every time I want to say it's YW. So it's not WY, it's YW. Okay, guys, this video has gone in an unforeseen direction. As usual, we do this together on the fly. I didn't think I'd be spending the entire video on the introduction and all the strangeness that's shown up before the actual the Book of the Dead even started. So maybe it'll be 2 parts. But I think you'll trust that I'm reading it accurately. I'll read it to you. No, you'd much rather look at Bill's stuff, Bill's posters, than some lousy ass pictures that I took in my bathroom. You'll trust that I'm reading it accurately. So we'll stick with Bill's posters from here on out. Continuing to read what is very strange here, in his introduction to the first edition of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Evans Wentz relates that he obtained his manuscript copy of the text early in 1919 from a young lama of the unpronounceable sect of the Red Hat School attached to the unpronounceable Basti Monastery unpronounceable. The manuscript was in a very ragged and worn condition. Well, I can imagine it was. Okay, did you make that up like you found it like the Dead Sea Scrolls? Look what I found! Oh, you got Dead Sea Scrolls? Look what I found! I don't buy this bullshit that was found in a cave. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if that is it all the same story. Dead Sea Scrolls, Nag Hammadi. I know that triggers some of you. I'm sorry. Don't buy it if it was found in a cage. How convenient. Don't buy it, even if some of the text ring true as being true. Okay, it still could be true if Not Milk needs to put out the truth. But it wasn't really found in a cave. This wasn't really found by a young llama. Come on, man. Oh boy, it's the same bullshit. Major W.L. Campbell, a British political officer stationed in Gangtok, the capital of Sikkim, what the hell's that? Who had purchased them while visiting, unpronounceable, a town in southwest Tibet, took these texts to Kanzi, unpronounceable, the English teacher at the Maharaja's boys' school in Gangtok, and the two men worked together over the next 2 months on an English translation and made a bunch of shit up. I left that last part out, but it probably is applicable. In his preface to the first edition, Evans Walsh describes himself as, quote, the mouthpiece of the Tibetan sage. Oh, come on. I'm not going to read any more of this. I'm just going to skim it if there's anything that has to be said. You buying this? Are you buying this? This is the page that begins to talk about what the bardos are. I'll go back to Bill's poster in a few minutes. Again, the bardos, a period between reincarnations, between samsara, cycle of life and death. According to the Bardo Thos Grol, the intermediate state comprises 3 bardos. I can't pronounce it. 3 stages. The deceased person's experience of these 3 bardos, as set out in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is as follows. That's like a Philly thing. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead. You got Tibetan Book of the Dead? Whatever bardo. First stage. The primary clear light seen at the moment of death. We can relate to this. Let's see what this says, Matt. The clear light arises from the direct experience of one's own essential nature. It is also referred to as the Dharma Kaya, the divine body of truth, perfect enlightenment, or Buddhahood. How is it Buddhahood, the light, if it's going to suck me back in another lifetime in the Delhi slums? Doesn't make any sense. If the deceased recognizes the clear light at the moment of death, he becomes enlightened. This is trying to get us to go into the light. Is thus liberated from the cycle. So all you got to do is recognize the light, and you're liberated. That's that'll suck you down into the Sims. I know, I got you. Potentially. It's not my first rodeo here. If not, if the deceased does not recognize the clear light at the moment of death, he passes, or she, or they, them, passes on to the next stage of the bardo. That's when the real funhouse horse shit starts. Chikai bardo, I'm just going to say second stage. Matt, you're butchering the second clear light seen immediately after death. If the deceased recognizes the clear light, he is liberated. Well, that's what you said on the first stage. Make up your mind. If not, he passes on to the next stage. In this part of the bardo, apparitions of the peaceful and wrathful deities, which are projections of the deceased's own mind. This is the one part of when I've investigated in the past that I actually kind of buy and believe in. Well, maybe not the only part, but there are these shamans or medicine men or whatever. They're speaking over the body of the dead. I've actually seen videos about this, saying, when these demons appear or this happens, they're speaking over the dead body like it actually can hear. No, this is a figment of your own imagination. You're actually responsible, dead person, for creating these demons. You're responsible for creating this part of the bardos onto yourself, dead person. There's some truth in that. no doubt, is this very similar to when the archonic beings pop up in the after-death or near-death experience? Are those archonic beings on their own, or is the person creating them by focusing on that topic for 20 years in a row? Continuing, if the deceased does not recognize them, these deities, recognize the deities or demons as a projection in some way of his own mind, he then enters the second 7-day period and comes face to face with 58 wrathful deities, which are said to emanate from the brain or head. Head? Who writes like this? It would be the brain or mind. That nothing can emanate from just hair and skin. If the deceased fails to recognize these for what they are, he is compelled to wander through the next stage of the bardos. So it's pretty simple, according to the bardos. I'm not sure we should take the advice here too quickly, but that nice white light comes, jump your ass in it like a pool on a hot day. You ever see The Sandlot? And then the second part is these entities come, and if you recognize what they are, oh, that's just a projection of my mind. Fuck you. And then you don't have to worry about going on either. There's so many ways to win according to these good bardos. In fact, I'm going to shut the channel down like they're going to shut the banks down for 7 days, and when it returns, we're going to do nothing but the Tibetan Book of the Dead for the next 5 years. Sidpa bardo, this stage. The deceased consciousness is now separated from the body. Well, Pootie Tang Award, he's dead. Of course the consciousness is separate from the body. But, it's attached to life. Its attachment to life is still such that it is like a body without substance, known as the mental or desire body, driven unremittingly by the winds of karma. Oh no, karma they're going to introduce now. This person's screwed. The deceased is compelled to wander the world, looking for somewhere to rest, but finding nowhere. The suffering brought on by this seemingly endless wandering through the bardos leads to the deceased person's consciousness looking on rebirth in one of 6 realms, those of the gods, demigods, humans, animals, hungry spirits, or in hell. Let me repeat that. That is worth our attention. The suffering in this stage of the bardo, through mostly endless wandering around, leads to the deceased person's consciousness looking on rebirth, wanting rebirth. And even putting me back in New York City for another lifetime, the person saying we'd be better than this. Just the person gets desperate, it seems like. And they look for rebirth, or they look to at least get out of the suffering stage of this phase of the bardos. It says here in one of 6 realms. Those of the gods, demigods, humans, animals, hungry spirits, or in hell. Well, beggars can't be choosers. If you're suffering so much in these bardos, it's endless wandering and suffering. I want out. Oh, where you want to go? The realm of the gods? Who you think you are, boy? You can't. They ain't gonna let you in there. You're gonna go back for demigods? No. Bodhisattvas? No. You're gonna go at the very best. You're gonna go back with the humans, and then you could go with the animals, the hungry spirits, or hell. Some people are so sick of the bardos, they choose hell. It's nothing but Rosie O'Donnell programming, 24/7, 365. Hungry spirits. Everybody got a hungry heart. This is ridiculous. Oh no, look at this. The introduction continues. The publication of this particular edition coincides with a similar resurgence of interest in the afterlife, due in part to the many first-hand accounts of near-death experiences, NDEs, and out-of-body experiences, OBEs. That's a British award, OBE, like a CBE, reported in Western media. Readers may have noted a similarity between the bright light reported by many who have had a near-death experience and the clear light of the Shikhai Bardo. Aha! Medical scientists, too, are expressing an interest. No, they're not. Now, let me clarify one thing in terms of my personal beliefs. This Bardos thing may be real. There could be reincarnation. There could be cycles of samsara between life and death. We may have done this many times before. Of course, I have to keep that on the table. One and done doesn't make sense to me. It's the idea of doing enough And not that we're necessarily trapped. I don't like those terms or those words. If we're trapped, we've trapped ourselves here until we get certain things done, or the higher self has certain revelations, whatever it may be. So, the fact that bardos may exist, we may be in them right now. Again, that's all on the table. What I don't like is 95% of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, where it provides a formula, a recipe. We haven't even gotten into any of that. When the blue light comes up, turn right, or the white light, do this, do that. It's an instruction manual of sorts, and that, to me, it's much more likely it's going to scheme you right back into a body. I don't buy what it's putting forth. The notion of the fact that we have done it before or have to do it again, or Tony, it was a little bit different. It was simultaneous incarnations of higher self. It's not you as you know of you going back into another body, but whatever, that's all on the table. It's this bullcrap of saying, follow my directions and you'll be okay. Well, the way this is reading in the introduction, whatever it tells me to do, guess what I'm going to do? That's right, the opposite. Look at this part. We must have made fun of this before. It says here that the Tibetan Book of the Dead was read aloud to the dying or read aloud over the recently deceased so they could attain enlightenment and thus be liberated from the suffering associated with the endless cycle of death and rebirth. That's samsara to me and you. But I saw a video on this. They were reading the Book of the Dead over the dead body. You can't expect a dead body to become enlightened. What the hell are they trying to achieve here? Yet we don't need to wait until the very end of our life for an opportunity to attain enlightenment. We all have within us the potential to become enlightened at any point in our life. No, I'm sorry. No, that's wrong. No, we all have the potential within us to become enlightened at any point in our life. Nope, that's the false notion of enlightenment. You know what we're here to do in this life, in my opinion? All the evidence points to it. We're here not to be enlightened. We're here to be Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. We're here to experience the low and in some way embrace it, but don't love the smell of your own farts too much. We're here to embrace the low and be the low. We're not here to be enlightened. Nobody I know has ever risen up from their bed, floated up like the exorcist. I said, what's wrong with you? I just became enlightened. There's no moment. It's never happened to anybody, yet these idiots keep talking about it. It's just, this life, it's meant to be low. It's meant to be tough. It's a slow, nasty slog right up to the moment of death. And then there's a confidence that we've done enough. And those that decide that aren't going to do it anymore, aren't going to do it anymore. Not going to run around the bardos like the Wizard of Oz. Why? Because they said so. And they know they've done enough. Anybody's ever known says, tell me about your moment of enlightenment. Let me tell you what happened. I was hiking and this and that. But you just came back in here and you had bad beef. What did Scrooge say? You could be a bit of bad beef, a blot of mustard. You just came out of the bathroom and it stinks. You must have had a real accident in there. And you telling me you enlightened? Here's a Jeopardy question. Alex, you don't even know that answer, do you? Nobody's ever become enlightened. The idea is to embrace not being enlightened. Before you were born, you were probably enlightened. What you are spiritually outside of here, you're enlightened. What you will be after death, you're enlightened. Why do you don't need it here. That's not the point of this place. These idiots that write these books, there's no moment of enlightenment. Any fool can see that. Sorry, guys, let me calm down a bit. What follows here is truly getting ridiculous. A set of instructions for, it calls the person a guru who's going to read instructions over the deceased or into somebody through the moment of death. I'll read part of it. It's best if the guru from whom the deceased received guiding instructions can be had. But if the guru cannot be obtained, they're out, they're busy, you lost the number, then a brother of the faith, or if the latter is also unobtainable to talk nonsense over the dead body, then a learned man of the same faith. Or should all these be unobtainable, then get Tiny Tim or any beggar off the street. It says it right here. Thereby the deceased will be put in mind of what he had previously heard of the setting face to face, and will at once come to recognize the fundamental light and undoubtedly obtain liberation. How would anybody obtain liberation based on what was just said? It was a bunch of nonsense. Next page, continuing. As regards the time for the application of these instructions, that just means, hey, brother, when do I say this shit? When do you say this shit? When the expiration has, here's when to do it. You better do it right or this person's fucked. They'll fuck you at the drive-thru. They'll fuck you in the bardos. When the expiration hath ceased, the vital force will have sunk into the nerve center of wisdom, and the knower will be experiencing the clear light of the natural condition. I thought it's just like poltergeist, confused. Do I go into that light or not? Then the vital force being thrown backwards and flying downwards through the right and left nerves, the intermediate state momentarily dawns. The above directions should be applied before the vital force hath rushed into the left nerve after first having traversed the navel nerve center. How the hell is anybody reading over a dead body supposed to know what electrical signals are going through what damn nerves? You'd be better off going out and getting McRib. The time ordinarily necessary for this motion of the vital force is as long as the inspiration is still present, or about the time required for eating a meal. It'd say, how long does this take? How long? About as long as required for eating a meal. Well, some people eat faster than others. I bet across a Tibetan steppe, you have all sorts of eaters. This doesn't mean shit to me. Don't you have any sort of metrics back then, like a second or something like that? Hey, Uncle Fred, how long before you want me to come down and help you shear the sheep? What? Come on down here in about as long as it takes to eat a meal. Oh, that's good. Thanks, I'll be right down. Then the manner of the application of the instructions, Matt inserting what's to be said over the dead corpse, is as follows. When the breathing is about to cease, it is best if the transference hath been applied efficiently. If the application hath been inefficient, then address the deceased in this way. And I got to turn the page here. You say over the corpse, "O nobly born," and then say the name. It's like, I state your name, I Flounder, do solemnly pledge allegiance to the frat and fraternity for all. O nobly born. How many of these poor bastards across the Tibetan and Mongolian steppe are going to be nobly born? And you're supposed to say this over a dead body? The time hath now come for thee to seek the path in reality. Thy breathing is about to cease. The person lying in the bed could take real offense at that. Uncle Joe, don't you tell me when my breathing's about to cease. You've been trying to get rid of me for years. I think I'll decide when I'm good and dead. It ain't your decision. You just shut up and read the book. What does it say here? Thy guru hath set thee face to face before with the clear light. You see a light? No. Well, you still alive then. You see a light now? No. Give me good time, Uncle Joe. I'll depart this world soon enough. Back the fuck off. And remember in Coming to America, when Akeem says, I'm looking for an apartment that is very poor. And he says, I got a real piece of shit to show. And they're going up the steps, and there's that guy passed out. And he says, yes, Stu, you still conscious. Where's my rent? Stu, you still conscious? That guy, that slumlord, would be an excellent guru for the Tibetan Book of the Dead, because he knew Stu was still conscious and not yet dead. Sorry. What continues here is advice for the guru or the person that's reading all of this over the dead body or over the person that's about to expire. Additional advice for the guru is read this and repeat it, it says, many times in the ear of the dying person. Put it right in their ear, even before the expiration hath ceased, so as to impress it on the mind of the dying one. If the expiration is about to cease, turn the dying one over on the right side, which posture is called the lying posture of the lion. The throbbing of the arteries on the right and left side of the throat is to be pressed on. What? This is sick, folks. It's basically calling for the guru to speed up the process. Stu, you still conscious? It would be like the owner of the slumlord actually, doing something to Stu as he's laying there on the steps. If the expiration is about to cease, If the person's not going to die as quickly as you would think, that's the way I interpret it, then it says here, turn that poor son of a bitch over onto his side, which is called the lying posture of the lion, or the bedridden son of a bitch who's pushed that bedridden son of a bitch onto his side, and then press down on the throat. I'm not joking. It's right here. This is sick. This is criminal. Continuing. If the person dying be disposed to sleep, or if the sleeping state advances, that should be arrested or stopped, and the arteries pressed gently but firmly. Thereby the vital force will not be able to return from the median nerve and will be sure to pass out through the Brahmanic aperture. Now the real setting face to face is to be applied. Basically, let me translate, guys. If the person just wants to be left alone and sleep, arrest it, means stop it. You conscious, don't you go to sleep on me. I came all the way from over those mountains to read this horse shit over your dying broke ass. Don't you sleep on me. You're going to listen to this horse shit. That's basically what it's doing, folks. At this moment, the first glimpsing of the bardo of the clear light of reality, which is the infallible mind of the Dharmakaya, is experienced. Yeah, it's experienced because that poor son of a bitch just expedited by pressing on his damn throat. Okay, skipped ahead. This apparently is the most important part of the first stage of the bardos shortly after death. And the person continues to read, O nobly born otter and flounder, now thou art experiencing, at this moment, experiencing the radiance of the clear light of pure reality. This is a good thing, I guess, according to these folks. Recognize it, O nobly born, thy present intellect, in real nature void, not formed into anything as regards characteristics or color, naturally void. It is the very reality, the all good. Thine own intellect, which is now voidness, yet not be regarded as the voidness of nothingness, but, oh God, but as being the intellect itself, unobstructed, shining, thrilling, and blissful, is the very consciousness, the all-good Buddha. Thine own consciousness not formed into anything, into reality void, and the intellect shining and blissful, these two are inseparable. The union of them is the Dharmakaya state of perfect enlightenment. Thine own consciousness shining void, inseparable from the great blah, 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 walk in the mile, walk in the mile. All it does is say recognize this divine light. It doesn't say, I mean, if you're going to go this far, honestly, run towards it, jump into it, it doesn't say anything. It just says recognize it. It doesn't say to go into it or not. You're going to go through all this horse shit and not have any words whatsoever about move towards this light. They even told Carol Ann about the light. Carol Ann, do this. They need a little bit clearer instruction. Just recognize the divine light. And someone say, well, Matt, all we can have that poor son of a bitch do is recognize it. I can't get him to go into it. Well, they obviously, there's a lot in our truth community that say don't go into the light. Of course, we've heard that before. This is pushing in a way, but not directly. But in a way, for recognition of the divine light is, I guess, to suggest that poor dead son of a bitch should go into it. And look at this, skipping ahead. This is very good news. If you miss the first opportunity at the primary clear light, which happens very soon after death, and if you miss it and you don't recognize it, that's the word they use, there's a second way to win here. This is great news, folks. Like a scratch-off game that gives you two ways to win. If you don't win the first time after you're scratching that shit off, there's another thing to scratch off. I won $2. It says here the secondary clear light, because the first clear light may not have been recognized. There is dawning upon the deceased, called the secondary clear light, which dawneth in somewhat more than a mealtime period. After that, the expiration hath ceased. So the first recognition of the first divine light, that happens it seems like immediately after that poor sucker goes down. Just seconds. You better read the right thing. You better whisper in the ear those sweet nothings to get the person to recognize. Now, if they don't, they're putting it in terms of a meal, how long it takes to eat a meal again. About how long it takes to eat a meal, the person will experience and have the opportunity to recognize a second clear light. What you need to do as a damn guru or the person reading over the corpse, you need to have a meal ready to eat. That's how you know, bring out the chicken wings, bring out the potatoes, bring out the yak claws, eat the damn thing. Then you know, because the timing of this is very important. Don't assume it's the time to eat a meal. Eat the damn meal. According to one's good or bad karma, the vital force floweth down into either the right or left nerve and goeth out through through any of the apertures of the body. Then cometh a lucid condition of the mind. To say that the state of the primary clear light endureth for a meal, here it is again, for a mealtime period, would depend upon the good or bad condition of the nerves, and also whether there hath been previous practice or not in setting face to face with training by the guru to the person that was about to depart in terms of what they're expected to do. Have they taken the bardos seriously and the Tibetan Book of the Dead seriously in life? Or are they just trying to do this on the fly after the person just falls down dead? When the consciousness principle getteth outside the body, it saith to itself, am I dead or am I not dead? That's exactly what we're going through right now. Right, Eva? It cannot determine. It seeth its relatives and connections as it had been used to seeing, as it has been used to been seeing them before. This is all the same stuff we've heard about the light. There will be my cat Belle will be in the light, behind Madame Blavatsky with the bicycle chain. It even heareth the wailings. What wailings? Belle wouldn't do that. The terrifying karmic illusions have not yet dawned, nor have the frightful apparitions or experiences caused by the lords of death yet to come. Oh boy. And guess what page I just finished up, guys? This is unbelievable how this happens. I did not. This is the end of page 33, where I looked. I said, okay, 40 minutes. We've done enough of this. It's very difficult to continue with this horse shit. I want to do part two. What do you do on the fourth day of the Bardos? What do you do on the fifth day of the Bardos? What lights are going to come in? What all the light crap is coming? All the demons that will come in the 30th day of the Bardos? All that is yet to come, and all of which we are very prepared to make fun of. But as I'm about to shut everything down, look down. Where am I? Page 33. This shit happens all the time. And what we need to do, guys, is continue a discussion some other time. I'm mentally able to do it now. I'm like ready to shut down. That yes, this we could certainly be in some sort of bardos right here. Even whether it was the tree that did it to me or there was a cataclysm, it does it again, guys. There's nothing. I don't think if we are in a bardos and we existed in a prior reality and this is a mimicry reality, or you would call a simulacra, it doesn't concern me in any way that I might not be the real spiritual Matt, or no, it does not. It does not concern me for several reasons I'm not going to get into now. If something happened to the old Earth, even on the big day in 2001, the 7-Eleven job application, it all went down, and we immediately materialized into another reality, but a lower level, which mimics the old reality, except it's a little bit. I was going to say a little bit lesser. Well, a lot less, a lot stranger, a lot more bizarre. It's fine. It doesn't concern me. Asteroids do not concern me, Admiral Viz. It doesn't concern me. It shouldn't concern you. Nobody's trapped. There ain't no Saturn moon matrix. It might not be easy. Whatever. But and what would concern me is if we woke up tomorrow morning and the Knock wasn't working so hard trying to shape us, our perception. As long as that's happening, then you hold the queens and the rooks, and you hold the key chess pieces as long as it keeps trying to shape you. If it starts leaving us alone, then you and I can get concerned. Thanks for listening.